I've never walked out of a movie theater completely and utterly dumbfounded with what I watched until I saw The Marvels. The Marvels is pure brain-rotting garbage and officially the worst Marvel movie ever made, if not the worst movie in general ever made. This $300 million film is genuinely a crime against humanity that did not need to exist. And I actually feel sad that the money used to make this film didn't go to help people in need. Who knows if that's even the true budget, because this film was delayed and reshot so many times, so it probably went way over budget. Which makes me wonder what they actually had to reshoot, because you would think for all that time, the movie would at least be decent. I guess Marvel is letting anyone direct movies these days, because I just witnessed a director misuse at least $300 million on an unpolished, terribly paced, atrociously written, visually ugly, cringy, and unfunny film. You see, valued viewer, I wanted to give a plot summary of the movie so I could point out the flaws as I go along, but I can't even do that because there was no plot in this film. The writers must have forgotten to write the story amidst all the delays, so instead, they made a 2-hour-long montage of all the MCU's worst qualities. The movie kicks into full speed from the moment it starts, introducing us to the worst villain in cinematic history. I wish I could tell you her name, but she's so forgettable and lacks development, personality, and intimidation, despite being the whole reason this movie is happening. The movie is also so rushed that all the emotional scenes fall flat, especially the ones that are trying to give development to characters. I'd even say that there was no development for any character because of how little each scene resonated with you. Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel have a weird moment where they go through their memories and it seems like it'll be a huge deal, but they go back to making jokes a moment later. This happens like 10 more times throughout the movie. The trio's dynamic feels off and I couldn't help but wonder if there were deleted scenes that would have fixed it. Kamala Khan acts like a nerd and talks like a baby for a majority of the film. Captain Marvel looks like she wants to cry but can't in every scene. And Monica Rambeau somehow becomes the most important character despite getting her powers in the most ridiculous way ever. And all three of their powers are entangled throughout the whole film, so they switch places. But only when it's convenient for the plot because the movie needs to happen. The trio literally lets 2 whole planets get destroyed and then brush it off as if it's nothing 2 minutes later. Like, they argue about the fact that they let innocent people die, and then apologize for arguing with each other immediately after. Meanwhile, there's also unfittingly loud music in the background of every scene, taking away the immersion. Overall, ruining the potential chemistry the trio had. Even the villain has no emotional weight in any of her scenes with Captain Marvel, despite there being a somewhat strong connection. Probably because it was so horribly paced and cut together. I genuinely believe it was a 10-year-old who just learned what Premiere Pro was, edited this movie. All the dialogue is absurdly wild and comically bad. And I think the actor's delivery made it even worse, especially Samuel Jackson, who had an assassination of his character.
Well done.
Nick Fury was forced to make unfunny jokes every single line, even when the world is at stake. He's not the same character we've seen before, and it's not believable that this is the same person from Secret Invasion. Even the Skrulls felt completely different from that show. And don't even get me started on the musical sequence where they straight up sing and dance for a solid 10 minutes when their planet is about to be attacked and they just came from a planet being destroyed. The tone changing every scene gave me severe whiplash. They go from Earth being attacked to making people get eaten by cats. By the way, that scene was just pure evil, and the movie was visually bad. Almost all of the costumes were downgraded and had either too dull or too bright colors with no in between. And of course the CGI was bad, but what else is new with Marvel these days? So it made for a bad experience when the clunkily static action sequences occurred. And the movie ends in the cringiest way ever. Kate Bishop makes a cameo meeting with Kamala Khan, teasing the Young Avengers and parodying Nick Fury's first ever MCU appearance. To me, this scene felt disrespectful to the past rather than a silly homage, especially because the director herself stated she has no idea what any of this MCU stuff means. It was truly my last straw watching this movie, and also made me upset that this was the direction Marvel was for sure heading in. There is pretty much nothing redeemable about this film, maybe except for Kamala and her family aspect, the writers slightly improving Captain Marvel's character, or even the post-credit scene where the X-Men make a cameo. But even that feels like a cheap trick to win back fans, so not even that can save it for me. Overall, I just can't believe this movie is in the same canonical universe as Iron Man 1, Captain America the Winter Soldier, or even Infinity War, let alone made by the same studio that made those films. I thought Quantumania was bad, but oh boy, that movie is 10 times better than the Marvels. Even Captain Marvel 1 was way better than this because at least that one had a story to follow. After watching the Marvels, I genuinely felt like my brain had rotted away. And with the firing of Daredevil's creative team and shows about characters we don't care about, I'm not sure my brain can handle any more garbage.